You wanted to talk a little bit about something that's pretty important to me as a former Episcopal or a visiting Episcopal and someone who has studied philosophy, psychology, and understands that to everyone the idea of the soul is an important concept, even to atheists who feel strongly that there is no such thing as a soul. Everyone's got a way of looking at it, and Reiki is no different. Usui and Takata, the people who started Reiki, they didn't speak too much about the soul in particular, but there is a lot that I've inferred over the years about how what we consider the aspect or the fragment or the part of ourselves that it is eternal, our eternal being, how that is redefined, radically redefined in Reiki, as opposed to the ways that I think most of us are familiar with. And those would be, in my opinion, basically two realms of thought. There's the Judeo-Christian Muslim idea of a soul, which is, this is just my reading of it, a soul isn't necessarily you. The decision-making apparatus of the Western theology, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, the idea is that you are the arbiter of your soul. You are the keeper of your soul. And doing good deeds, or at the very least stopping yourself from doing bad deeds, is the way that you keep your soul pure. You keep your soul connected or resonant with God. And through that shepherding of your soul, through the turmoil of the physical world, you will be allowed into a nice little afterlife. Another way of looking at it, and this is one that I've grown familiar with by reading the Gita in my world religions class, which was my first philosophy class in college, and also marrying someone who is not necessarily devout Hindu, but through which I've learned more about the Eastern religions. In Hinduism, and the concept of reincarnation, even in Taoism, you are much more your soul than I believe in Christianity, because when you act within the wheel of karma or within the illusion of samsara and incur consequences for your actions, they get distributed directly to you. So you're the one who, because you cheated on your wife, you're getting reincarnated as a cockroach. So there's a little difference between you and your soul. It's just in the philosophy of reincarnation, it's considered that you are eternal in the sense that you are constantly coming back to different lives. So you are essentially immortal, but you're very mortal in the sense that we lose all of our memories and are constantly caught in the illusion of samsara and the delusion of reality over and over again. And in that philosophy, that religion, the idea is to gain awareness and gain enlightenment in order to escape. So where does that leave us with Reiki? Well, it leaves us in kind of a tricky situation, because Reiki's primary goal is to heal. And in that healing, we grow towards our optimal way of being. And optimal doesn't mean perfect. I think there are conditions that our body can incur, illnesses that are ongoing, and no matter how much you heal, you're still stuck with them. Things like arthritis, things like, I don't know, hold on, get my low battery. Things like recurrent cancer, things like wounds from broken bones, things like that. These things are ongoing. And though in Western religion, it's sort of taught that the way of God, if God were to get involved, if the true energy were to get involved, then you would just be healed miraculously, and that would be the end of it. And I think that's why Reiki gets a lot of flack at the end of the day, because it's easy enough to kind of say, yeah, head on over to Reiki.org and you can see some science experiments they've done with it. And if you do some of the meditations and learn the practice, it's pretty easy to learn. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's not Jesus Christ healing a guy from the dead, you know? And so I think it's easy to say, well, if it's not miraculous, then what's the point? And I think that it's funny that that is such a criticism levied at Christianity, because I think that one of the problems with the idea of incurring debt to the soul, the idea that the soul is eternal, but it is somehow accruing debt of bad stuff that we've done, and the universe remembers, and it doesn't like that we're doing the bad things, and so it's punishing us, punishing our eternal soul, and that's what we get for being bad little ape people. Like, I don't think that carries much water for a lot of people anymore, which is one of the reasons I've leaned into Reiki, is because what I feel like is when I'm doing Reiki, when I'm feeling the energy in my hands, when I'm in tune with nature, when I'm one with my environment, when I'm feeling the person across to me, when I'm feeling the good vibes, that is my soul in action. And I think that we can all agree that we've probably seen friends or family members or loved ones in their mojo, on fire. You know, we call it being on, you know, things like that. We know it when we see it. And I think it's proper to call these moments of being filled with whatever you want to call it, the energy, being filled with spirit, being filled with creativity, being filled with confidence, you know, whatever you want to call it, that feeling is real, and it's the expression of your soul. And that's why sometimes when we say and do things while we're in those moments, we remember them for so long. They become core memories. And sometimes even in the future, we'll feel down for whatever reason, and we'll pine, we'll wish for the days when we used to feel that feeling back when we felt it. But the reality is the reason we felt it back then, and the reason you can feel it at any time, is because that energy is always available in the form of communion with your soul. And what is your soul in Reiki? It's the energy. It's just that you are you're a temporary accumulation of the energy in a physical body, experiencing consciousness and experiencing the world. But what you are is essentially that awareness. It's that eternal, you know, ineffable thing. And that's all right. Like that may not be the message of many religions, because the religions are usually in honor or in servitude of a god. And I'm not saying that you can't practice Reiki or do these things and not be part of a religion. Many people are. I still have a lot of religious thoughts and beliefs sometimes, but it's good to appreciate that your process through life, whether it has sin in it or not, is holy as long as you end up in communion with yourself or the energy or whatever you want to call it. And you can do that at any time, in any way. There are a lot of ways you could probably do it where you'd feel happier in some situations, but it's your that awareness, that connection to that eternal self is always there. And I don't know, it's just, I can't think of anything more valuable than something like that on hand whenever you can access it. And it's harder when you feel bad. Sure, that's one of the reasons depression and anxiety are so rough, is because you lose your confidence, you lose your self-awareness, and your self-awareness in terms of believing that you're an awesome person, that awareness. You know, it's easy to get knocked off course. But remember, when you feel in those bad ways, remember why it's hard to get in tune with your soul. It's hard to get in tune with that higher aspect of yourself. And the reason is that it exists at a higher frequency than being in the muck of your own self-loathing and despair. And so that's awesome, right? Because it means that though we can lose access to that higher intellect of ourselves, shall we say, it's not forever, and it's never forever, because it's always right there for the taking. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.